Okay, so FE for top two and TE top two in stack is very well honored in the world. FI and TI can also win points, but they get points for being, you got to be real special, then it starts scoring. Like FI with boss bitch, it girl, don't give a F what y'all think is only cool if it's accompanied with material success. TI wins points only if it achieves TE accomplishments, such as qualifications or status symbols. NI is seen as a kind of madness when it freely flows, unless you've been able to qualify it with TE objectivity, like the INTJ, or soften it with FE, INFJs. So INTJs and INFJs' best feature, NI, is basically shamed. And we are appreciated for only our parent functions. So unfortunately for ISFP, NI third function, it may be hard to get NI. Since NI DOMs are being hunted, it seems like a witch hunt is going on. NE is a bit more in flavor right now. It seems not sure, but NE is going wide and being open to different perspectives, so it's more acceptable to NI's long-term hunchiness. NI gets respected only after it finishes the NI goal or hits major milestones in a TE understandable way. But NI's way of thinking or seeing patterns in the world is seen as a non-scientific and unempirical method and seen as the definition of pseudoscience. NI is speculative, whereas SI is interpolation between known data points. NI is extrapolation, and it can speculate to very crazy extremes. It can literally use abductive or inductive logic to jump to conclusions without full evidence. It's capable of guessing what is in the black box without much proof. SI and SE are both very physical, and their merits can be seen in the physical world. So when used well, they get applause. See SE in winning in a conflict or a sport, apply force to protect or to gain an advantage. SI in making things very nice. SI is like that super good interior design, matching all the colors right, creating comfortable atmospheres and diligent routines, and getting the details nailed to the T. Doing all the boring things in an excellent way, at least that's how I see it. So for ISFPs, FI, SE, NI, TE, it's important to realize that only the extroverted functions are being admired. That's SE and TE, which probably would make ISFPs more insecure about TE, since only TE is really admired for real. ISFP's good aesthetics is the FI-SE going on, but ironically, if I gotta be real, in 2026, a lot of people with bad FI-SE also look good because they are copying social media. It's like good FI-SE aesthetics is being stolen or copied en masse, so a lot of people with bad aesthetics can actually present and steal FI-SE advantages while actually being bad at FI and SE. I have two ISFPs with good aesthetics, but social media makes them doubt this in themselves because social media has its own algorithm, and it becomes hard to pursue your own aesthetic when the algorithm is pushing a certain look, making ISFPs potentially more perfectionistic and worried about expressing those FI values in an SE way. A third ISFP had conflict at work because of how she dressed according to her FI values, was considered TE too sexy, too unprofessional, form-fitting, and too anti-FE, too anti-TE, leading to a coalition being formed against her at work. On this topic, I see that the good aesthetics of the ENFP and ISFP are actually deemed too FI, too extra, not FE fitting in enough, and triggers great jealousy and resentment from others. One ISFP girl posts the most beautiful, very natural aesthetic. Okay, well, this girl's name is Wensi, one of my friends, and we did a podcast. One ISFP girl posts the most beautiful, very natural aesthetic on her Chinese social media because she loves life, but the signal received in FE and TE ways is extremely negative. People look at her social media and say, she looks like she's having too much fun to be a serious worker, too childlike, not adult-like enough, against TE values. Most people share just a little of their life because sharing how good your life is makes people triggered and jealous. For the ISFP friend Winston, her sharing of her most fun moments of her life shows an insensitivity to FE, insensitive to how others see it, and are jealous their lives suck in comparison. It's like you gotta look good, but you can't look too good, or you're unprofessional, anti-T, or you're too insensitive to making others feel jealous, FE. So what's going on is we were discussing the impact of social media and how social media actually distorts the cognitive stack and makes some cognitive stack functions more valued in society and less valued in society. So FE is about making other people feel good. So if you make other people feel good, you're getting points. TE is about being objective and attaining accomplishments, and that can be seen and validated by the external metrics in society. It's like TE is measured in how much money do you make a year, how many houses do you have, which part of the neighborhood do you live, how big is your house, like think about anything that can be measured, like what is the square footage of your house, that's like TE. And also things like, if you see on Chinese social media, a lot of girls put like 162 centimeters, 40 kilograms. Like they literally put their own their body metrics. That is a very TE way of basically valuing a person based off of measurable accomplishments. So realistically, measurable accomplishments, there's nothing wrong with measurable accomplishments, but measurable accomplishments are basically a fast way to determine if a person is 合格或者不合格. 合格 basically means do they cross the threshold? Are they good enough to get a yes, or are they bad enough to get a reject? Or they're not good enough. So if you just go to like many Chinese dating, there's all these Chinese dating culture where people are told to provide their monthly salary, their height, and do they have a car, do they have a house, have they been divorced before, do they have any kids. Like they're basically told, please fill out this matchmaking form of your stats, your statistics, and those stats will be vetted. And that's like a lot of people, so a lot of elderly people actually put their grandkids' stats in public parks and try to advertise them. Like there's these dating markets that happen on like the weekends, where it's like in Shanghai, for example, every weekend, like every whatever Saturday, the park is full of elderly people posted up and putting all their stats printed out on paper, and they're trying to like, because they don't know how to use Tinder, so it's like they're using that as like a Craigslist. And then people also pay money to have themselves advertised, and if people they will say, this is what we want, this is who we are, and this is what we want. And if you match them, you could contact and exchange information, and then the person gets like a middleman fee. It's very TE. Social media makes it really apparent. Well, this is the illusion. So social media is being used to amplify people's perceived strengths and hide their weaknesses, to show people. A lot of people are using that to advertise themselves and present an image of a much more successful or much more attractive version of themselves to basically social climb. So TE is kind of like, if someone doesn't know you, how do you impress someone? So a lot of people are not impressive. So like, for example, if a person's not impressive and you're trying to impress someone, you need to try to bring out stuff that the market will respond to. So if people have a PhD, they'll put like PhD. If people have like, they graduated from a brand name school, they put the brand name school. If people have a slim body, they put a slim body. So it's like they're trying to put something in their social media to not necessarily brag, but to make people aware of, hey, I got something that you want. Please give me a yes. So using social media to basically open doors, which there's nothing wrong with it. One guy said that. So I have a friend who has a Ferrari. He's not the one who said this, but you could definitely see, like, there was one time he met a girl who he just said hello, hi, and he's like, hello, hi, and the girl just ignored him. But then when he drove past her in a Ferrari, the girl came up and said hello, hi. So the same girl, and pretended the previous incidents didn't happen. So this kind of tells you that there's like a so this kind of tells you that there's people's perception is basically people's reality. Like, how people perceive you is basically as close as they're going to get to understanding your reality. So like when other people look at you, they can't actually understand the real you, so they can only perceive you. And the perception of you is, so it's like, I know I wrote this above in an earlier post. I'm going to see this. I think I'll just actually It's pretty interesting. So basically, people's perception of a person is you basically present yourself, and then other people interpret how you're presenting yourself. They interpret it by using their imagination to basically judge the book by its cover and get to a quick assessment. As people are using social media and TikTok more and more, people's brains are getting fried by dopamine that they can't even concentrate for long periods of time without getting distracted. So people's attention spans are basically declining. As people's attention spans are declining, people's interest in analyzing other people goes down, where people analyze people and judge them on more and more superficial metrics. This makes FE and TE kind of valuable in signaling in the social media market because FE shows that other people have approved of you. So like if you take pictures, so I take a lot of pictures with people, but if you take pictures with people and it looks like you're having fun, or it looks like you have the approval, like if you take a picture with Jeff Bezos or something like that, that kind of means that Jeff Bezos thinks you're not a bad guy. Like if someone's willing to take a picture with you, it kind of gives you some social proof. So FE provides social proof that, hey, this person has already been vetted. TE is how people are actually vetting people. So, for example, if you're a person and someone's evaluating you, they're trying to understand you. Well, how are they trying to understand you? They got a fried brain. Their brain's been dopamine fried. They have about 1 minute of attention span to give you, maximum. So they're trying to give you, if even that, when they're trying to analyze and judge you. It's like they're literally trying to judge you. Is this person worth my time? Does this person attract me, or does this person repel me? So in today's social media with pornography and all this kind of stuff, people's attention is being attracted, and like we attract people's attention for like 5 seconds, 20 seconds, and then something else is going to attract them because big data is now using AI to pull people's attentions away from, like, in all kinds of directions, right? And people's interests, AI figures people out. It's profiling people, and so basically a lot of people are checkmated. The big data, the AI knows people so well that it can basically keep them constantly attracted to them. So as people's attention spans are being stretched away, they're not being patient enough to analyze other people. So their ability to actually look at a person and give them a fair analysis is dwindling, so that people need to do a quick judging by the book. And the fastest way to do that is like a TE assessment. The TE assessment is, what features does this person have? It's like, what features do I respect and what features does this person have? Does this person advertise or present themselves as having the features that I respect and I admire? If they have it, then I'm attracted for a little bit. For 1 more minute more. You get like you're attractive for 1 minute, and then you get 1 more minute. It's like a video game where your TE accomplishments actually can attract people's attention for a little bit longer, but even then, something else is going to steal away their attraction. So their attraction is not going to be there for a long time. So why is it dating really hard? It's because people are attracting each other, but then something else is also attracting them. And now we have the phone, which is a portal to the infinity. It's like the black hole of death. So you can basically, no matter who you run into, you're going to find something more attractive very soon. And especially if you have conflict. If you have conflict with someone, you get repelled by a person. So when you have conflict with someone, you're going to find someone else or something else is more attractive. FE is another way to vet someone extremely fast, because in a highly judgmental society, if other people have already approved of you, that means that your TE has gone past their vetting system. So what's very scary is a lot of people, and I've seen this in China, a lot of people judge people based on who you associate with. So basically, if they look at you and you're like, you have all these TE presentations, that's one way to analyze your worth, quantify your worth and your value to them. But FE is another way to say, hey, a lot of companies actually in venture capital actually do investment like this. It's like, hey, this company called Google, it's a startup, and then 20 famous companies, investment companies, are investing in them, hedge funds, whatnot. So then other smaller investing companies, what they do is they just actually copy and follow even better investment companies, because some of the most some of the most famous investment companies, they have a lot of resources to do due diligence and actually vet companies, and they have more access to private information, and they have more reach. They have their databases are more extensive. Like investment companies are like spy companies that basically gather information on all different companies, and now with AI, they can gather it even faster. So they're actually constantly gathering intelligence on other companies, and they know which companies are doing well at any given time, and so they're able to shift their investment portfolio. Investing companies that are more smaller, that have smaller teams and less resources at hand, they may not have the same level of access or the same privilege to get that kind of secret information. So they basically try to use indirect signals to actually copy and follow those investment companies that are winning. And their idea is like, hey, if the investment company that's winning is got the best resources, we just copy them and we're also going to be winners too. They're winning, we win, we copy. And that's also how FE works. It's like other people are investing in this person. So if other people of status and other people with TI accomplishments, they're investing in this person, then people say by association, you can't be that bad. This is decent logic, but I've seen the reverse get really crazy because I don't know if I have time to get in this, but I had an ENTJ friend who, short story is, we were hanging out, we ate lunch, we hanged out in Shanghai for like 6 hours, and our name is Alicia. And there are many Alicias, so don't worry, there's plenty of friends who have the same name. So this ENTJ, basically, we went to a park. We went to this park in Shanghai. And we had a great time, lunch, everything was going well. We were really having a good conversation. And something shocking happened. I see this guy in the park who's reciting poetry. And he's basically asking, God, why does my life suck so much? And then this was in a public space, and a lot of people were looking at him. And he recited the poetry so beautifully, and I was moved by it. And then I looked to my ENTJ friend and I said, hey, what do you think about this person? I want to say hi to them. I want to add their social media. I want to wave at them and say hi and whatnot. So she looked at me. This guy is going through a very hard time. He's very stressed out. That's why he's doing inappropriate behavior in a public space, and he is releasing his tension in an inappropriate manner. This is a public space. He's affecting other people, but he doesn't care. So her assessment is, this person is not normal, and we should stay away from him, and he's not someone I want to be associated with. My thought was, whoa, he's going through a lot of stress. Maybe as a fellow human being, I can connect with him and help him out and help his stress go down and help another person become better. So she tells me, if you talk to him, I'm going to leave you immediately. And I said, okay, fine, then let's just go. But he suddenly looked at me. And when he looked at me, I waved. And when I waved, my ENTJ friend bolted the fuck out there. Like the ENTJ friend, we spent the whole day, 6 hours a day. And this could count as like, so she just ran away. She texted me, what you did is so disgusting. And then she deleted me on my WeChat. We added each other like a year later. But she literally deleted me because I said I waved at a person that she classified as abnormal. And the thing is, there is a lesson in this that I learned, is that actually in China, where they're extremely pragmatic, the general belief is that people are separated by social classes. The social classes have different interests, and their interests are not in favor of each other. So like the people in the wealthy class, they like the labor law to be lax, because if the labor law is lax, then the poor people who work, the workers need to work more hours for them, and they can abuse the workers and they can generate more money. But if the labor laws are stronger, the workers will be happier, but then the business class will lose more money. So there's a tension between classes. And this tension between classes also manifests itself. It manifests itself in the way that the tension in the classes basically manifests in this way that the worth of people is measured in a TE way and also in an FE way. And if a person's worth is not high enough, they don't want to associate with such people. And if a person tries to associate with someone who has low TE and low FE, like low TE value and low FE value, it's like investing in a company that the good investors all said was a bad company. So if like all the good investors said this person is not good enough to get FE validation, they don't have social proof, they're not good enough to get TE accomplishments, then the end result is that they look at people as, what is the return on investment in this social interaction? If this person's investment in social interaction is bad, then only an idiot will invest in them. So even if you try to socialize or you try to go near classes or go near people that are they almost become untouchables. It's like if you touch people who are untouchables, you're actually signaling to other people that something's wrong with you, that you're a bad investor, that you don't know what you're doing, or that you're actually, it's like she approved of me because of my TE and my FE, but when I tried to associate with someone with lower TE and FE, she ran away as fast as Usain Bolt. And instead of saying, hey, this person's hurting, how can we connect and help this person? She was like, hey, this person's hurting, this person's expressing themselves wrongly. It means that they're a loser in life. It's like this is a mindset of determining that the society is divided between winners and losers. And in the society where there are actually winners and losers, a very pragmatic way to think is, well, I don't want to be a loser. I want to associate with winners. And so in her mind, she was willing to associate with me because I'm a winner in her mind. But this person is a loser. And if I'm willing to associate with a loser, then there's something wrong with me. Maybe I'm not the winner that she thought I was. So we see that the very realistic TE-FE way of actually vetting people means that these things, they easily TE and FE more easily translate in more opportunities, more resources, and more success, and a higher chance of survival of the fittest, being a winner, right? Okay, now we're gonna move on to what I was gonna say. So when you have FE and T in your top two of your stack, it means that you're going to be quite good at these things. So you're going to just have a more advantaged life. You're just going to have a much more easier time to attain the accomplishments the society deems valuable. And this is something that kind of goes against the myth that the society kind of perpetuates. Basically, the society wants to say that, hey, everyone took the same education and everyone took the same exam. It's a fair society since everyone has the same exam. So if you do poorly and other people do well, that's on you. It's not the exam that's unfair. It's you that's lazy. But actually, the idea of cognitive stack means that people who have TE, if they're being tested in a TE way, or they have SE or SI in their stack and they're being tested on SI, well, they're just going to have more of an advantage in that arena in life, and in that period in life. And what's going to happen, it means that, oh, actually, the system's not fair. And the people who are winners don't want to say that it's not fair. The people who are winners gain more by perpetuating the myth that the system is fair and other people are just dumb and lazy. Whereas maybe that's not true. Okay, so I said that NI is being shamed. So I said that, so INTJs have NITE, INFJs NIFE. So everyone I meet in Asia, like almost no one compliments my NI. Like almost everyone compliments your FE. Because NI, they don't even know what NI is. And many people will tell me don't use NI. They're the NI critics. Because the thing, and INTJs are kind of similar. So I think INTJs and INFJs, their favorite thing to use is NI. But every time they use NI, they're being criticized or being shunned. So they kind of have to develop TE and FE to kind of have some way of gaining points with people. Because if you lose too many points with people, no one wants to interact with you, and you become a pariah. You become a loser in the society, right? So, for example, my girlfriend is probably with me because of my FE. She probably does not consider my NI very valuable, being an ESFP. So, like, if your second function is highly developed, people can like you, admire you just for that. ENTJs also have NI-TE. So, T-NI. So they have, even though they have NI to help them out a lot, it's really the TE that gets respected because TE is actually gaining the accomplishment. NI is more about seeing things that other people don't see. And so I think that this indirectly actually hurts ISFPs. So like NI, make no mistake, NI is not the most empirical and it's not the most scientific way of looking at the world. But it's what, if you ask me, God or Mother Nature created this cognitive stack. So NI is one way of looking at the world, and SI and TE are one way to look at the world. TE and SI are more empirical. Like TE is very measurable, and SI is very much about having a lot of high reliability and repeatability. It's being very sure. It's being very stable. But NI is basically, hey, we have 2 data points. What can we extrapolate from it? SI is much more conservative. It's like, hey, we have 2 data points. What can we interpolate from it? So SI basically focuses on conservative interpretation of data, whereas NI is very speculative and hunchy. And so it actually goes on very extreme forecasts. It actually, from seeing very little data, it can start making assessments at extreme speeds, which is actually based on pattern recognition. So NI used poorly badly used is when you have very little data and you start extrapolating into crazy directions. But NI becomes more and more accurate the more data points you have. So if you try to make predictions off of 2 data points, it's not a lot. But it can make accurate predictions. I'm just going to give you an example. So in the recent UFC 250 White House fight, Justin Gaethje versus Ilia Topuria, I'm a huge UFC fan, and I know a lot about martial arts, but I've been very busy, so I have not been following mixed martial arts for quite some time. I would only watch it sporadically in the gym. But because the UFC White House fight is such a big fight, and I actually have some interest in Ilia and Gaethje, I do think their fights are really good. So I did a 1 minute, I did like a one night. I looked at a little bit of research into the situation of both fighters. So I basically did a 1 day data collection, and I'm not even saying a full day. I'm saying like 3 hours of data collection, and I was half multitasking, half watching some YouTube videos on Justin Gaethje and Ilia Topuria, Trevor Whitman and their coaches. And I was actually I was not looking at the most objective data. Like I was not looking at Ilia Topuria. He has how many strikes does he land? What's the percentage he lands his leg kicks? Or what another FE way is like, oh well, what is the betting odds on Ilia Topuria? So Ilia was highly favored above Justin Gaethje. So Ilia being highly favored about Justin Gaethje means that he has the social proof, because the gambling experts who actually have all the most advanced software and data basically were betting on Ilia Topuria. So that's what they call a highly favored favorite, right? So FE, he got the FE. Ilia Topuria got FE, and he also got the TE. Both voted in Ilia Topuria's favor. But I'm not joking, and I have a video to prove this, because I posted a video on my old, before before Ilya Taporia and Justin Gaethje fought, I posted a video saying who I had winning. I literally posted Cyril Gane is going to beat what's his name? Alex Pereira. And I also posted that Justin Gaethje was going to beat Ilya Taporia. And the reason why I did that is for my 3 hours of half paying attention to the situation. I paid not attention to the TE metrics, and I paid no attention to the FE metrics. I personally used NI and FE to assess the psychological state and their preparation going into the fight. And something that stood out to me in very clear terms is if you just looked at, if you looked at enough interviews of Ilya Taporia and enough videos of Justin Gaethje, Ilya 100% presented himself as believing Justin Gaethje was going to be a walkover. Whereas Justin Gaethje was presenting Ilya Taporia as going to be the biggest challenge in his life, and he woke up scared every single day. You know he woke up scared every day. But at the same time, I knew I could detect the fear. My FE could detect fear in Justin Gaethje. But I could also detect self-belief. And I believe that by looking at his coach, I've actually practiced martial arts for a long time. So I actually practiced to Trevor Whitman's technique videos before. And I know that Trevor Whitman's, who I believe is an INFJ, I believe that Trevor Whitman, who has a very, he shows something that I would say is very similar to me, is that he himself was not an accomplished martial artist because of sickness. So he wanted to be a martial artist, professional fighter. Because of sickness, he was not able to fulfill that dream. But because he's a huge fan of SE and he has NI, he admires SE, the physical sport of martial arts. And he uses his NI TI loop to basically figure out and break down and understand all the patterns in martial arts. Martial arts is a very pattern-based sport where NI is actually of extreme value because NI is not about let me count all the data. NI is like, oh dude, I'm fighting someone and he's trying to kill me. I need to figure out very quickly what are the patterns happening. Like, who has the time to bring out let's bring out the scientific spreadsheet and let's bring out the calculator or let's start to, if you use SI and you use TE, which are very suitable in some situations, they're not actually as suitable in analyzing situations as NI in some cases. NI is basically you have incomplete data, and from the incomplete data, what are the possible futures that could happen? So if you analyzed, if Justin Gaethje's coach is an INFJ NI Dom, he could NI TI loop, and he's mentioned, he 100% strikes me as someone like myself who would literally watch the same fights Justin Gaethje or Ilya Taporia's fights 1,000 times. I'm sure he's watched Ilya Taporia's fights 1,000 times. If you just watch how many times I've watched Socionics videos, you'll realize how crazy NITI can go for an INFJ. Is you just basically, I want to understand this thing. So let's say I want to understand ISFPs. Then I will watch 100 videos on ISFPs. I don't care if the question is the exact same. I will rewatch the same video until I understand it. Same thing with with Justin Gaethje's coach. Trevor Whitman basically is like, I'm just going to I'm going to watch all his videos and I'm going to use my NI to see those patterns and I'm going to use FE to feel what he feels at every given time. Because fighters fight not just based off thinking, but also how they feel. In fact, you could beat a person in a fight by impacting how they feel. So imagine you have got two different fighters. One guy, like Ilya, thinks he's unbeatable. He thinks that Justin's going to be a walk in the park. Justin already knows that he has this mentality. So basically what's going to happen is look, he's going to think I'm easy, but if I am harder than he expects, his morale's going to drop. But for me, I already put in my mind that Ilya Taporia is going to be the hardest challenge of my life. I'm fighting in front of the president. I'm fighting in front of the White House. This is the biggest event in my life. And I'm also fighting for the goal. Ilya Taporia had everything to lose. And Justin Gaethje had nothing to lose. Justin Gaethje had everything to win. All of his life's purpose, if he just wins this, his entire life purpose would be fulfilled. That is basically the universe handing him the golden keys. Whereas if Ilia Topuria came to this fight with no losses on his record, if he won, it wouldn't seem like anything special. He's highly favored. It's just like another day in the park. But for Justin Gaethje, if he won, he would be like, for the rest of his life, he would always have paydays. He would always have honor. Like, the president knows his name. The whole country knows his name. Whereas Ilia Topuria is like a Spaniard fighting. He's a Georgian who's from Spain who's fighting in the U.S. So like, if he wins, it's kind of like a huge embarrassment to the U.S. So like, if Justin Gaethje wins, he basically also the U.S. military had like 3 branches, or 4 branches: the Marine Corps, the Air Force, the Navy, the U.S. Army. They're all watching. Like, the entire military is watching Justin Gaethje fight this fight. Okay. It is highly symbolic. This is also the NI symbolic thinking. Think about what the stakes are in this fight. So Justin Gaethje knows the stakes. Look, if he fights this fight, the entire military is watching. Not to get like off put, but it's like, this is like the sexiest thing that he could do from the standpoint of like the female population, because he is single, he's not dating, right? So I'm saying, if he wins in front of the country, the entire military is watching, the president's watching. This is the biggest UFC event. Everyone's watching. Whole country's watching, bro. Like, yeah, he's going to take it as serious. He's going to take it and put it on the max level. And in the meantime, he's got a coach who's an INFJ like me, who's just going to watch all that footage. And look, if you put me on the task, this is the interesting thing about INFJs. INFJs are the kind of people that kind of suck at the game. They suck at life, but they're willing, if you tell them to help a person that they care about, which is triggering FE, and they are put in the role of advisor and teacher, they will take that role so seriously. And they're basically like this AI that's trying to help you out. Like, the FE is like, I want to connect my brain to your brain, and I'm going to use NITI loop to basically make you. It's like, Justin Gaethje has been punched in the face so many times. I think he's an ESTP, but he's been punched so many times in the head that honestly, it's not that easy to think when you've been punched so many times in the head. So a coach like Trevor Whitman is basically like, look, we know you got punched in the head a lot of times. You can't think the most clearly. Your pattern recognition is probably not the best, but why can't your brain join with my brain? So his coach's brain is, like, you can even watch the relationship with the coach and student. It's like a guy's brain has been enlarged. It's like the computer, Justin Gaethje is one computer, and then Trevor Whitman is another computer put on top of that computer, and they connect on a USB drive. So you've got a fighting machine with a supercomputer pattern recognition put together. And that's, so I got the confidence that, look, dude, Justin Gaethje's going in that octagon with 2 people. He's got Trevor Whitman. It's like 2 versus 1. And if you look at Ilia Topuria, this is a classic problem with classic problem with a lot of fighters, because as fighters fight and win, they start to get hubris. It's just normal. Like, you start to believe the myth that as you start beating people up, you start becoming, as you rack up that TE objective data and people give you that FE external validation. Like, look, he was known, Ilia Topuria had a pre-fight victory celebration. He didn't even fight, and he already celebrated the day before the fight. That's psychologically retarded. Like, if you're going into something really difficult and you're celebrating on how easy it is before you go into it, you're basically doing something extremely hubris. Like, you're going in and saying, this is going to be easy, bro. And then you're going against someone who has 4 branches of the military. And now the reason I'm emphasizing 4 branches of the military, I do believe that people, like, look, if you're trying to do something, think about this. If you had to clean your room and you're the only person who's going to see the room, you would clean it probably not as good as if you knew 4 branches of the military were watching you clean the room. That's like saying the whole country and the 4 branches of the military, they're going to send people to your room to check if your room is clean. So yeah, the military represents the fighting spirit of the nation. And you're fighting in front of the White House. You are the chosen fighter to represent your nation's fighting capabilities. If you actually lose, this is a huge dishonor to the entire military. So in this case, a whole bunch of Americans are identifying with Justin Gaethje. And even though they might not agree with all of Justin Gaethje's antics or his fighting style, they're willing to give him that extra boost energy, which I believe is like, hey, just think about it. You're going to get an extra boost of energy when the entire military is saying, hey, tomorrow at 1 p.m., we're going to send people to check out how clean your room is. Your room's probably going to be the cleanest room it's ever been, especially, that all the cameras, it's going to be shown through the whole world. It's significant. That is something is you could tell that Justin Gaethje kept the significance of this fight. You could feel it if you turn on your Effie, you could feel that this fight was something significant. Whereas Mr. Ilya is like, yeah, I've not even won yet, but I'm celebrating like I won. And yeah, I don't seem to even care that other people are going to think I'm really cocky. So who exactly is giving Ilya energy? Like basically Ilya's even physically at the White House. It's not like a bunch of Georgians are at the White House. It's not like a bunch of so he has home court advantage. You've got Justin Gaethje has home court advantage, and such a dangerous person has home court advantage. Everything's on the line. I'm using this as an example of how, and I'm saying this, it takes me a long time to say this, but I'm just telling you, by watching the videos for a very short period of time, my NI pattern recognition could already pick up these patterns, and I'm like, yes, I am highly favoring Justin Gaethje for this fight. That is something that I believe that that's something that is. Let's use me as a small example, because in the future I could talk more detailed. But if you actually had a lot of people assess the chances of me being a success in my life, a lot of people would look at me the same way as they looked at Ilya. They would use TE metrics to say, is this person validated? And SI metrics, does their past validate their present? Is their achievements something that's measurable, right? So when they use those kind of metrics on people, they have a tendency to underestimate people's potential, because NI looks at the potential, the future possibility, not just what was the past, not just what was the present, but it's looking at, hey, what is the highest possibility for this person? What's the worst possible outcome? What's the best possible outcome? What can be done to move towards the best possible outcome? What assets are available? Strategic assets. NI is very strategic. And I have to say that if you just compared me thinking to other people, I don't consider myself the most scientific thinker, but I am quite the strategic thinker. Especially because I've played many, I was a grandmaster in many card games. And so this thing is, when in card games, I can tell you that part of the reason why I was a grandmaster is because I was very good at recognizing patterns, and I would do things that people didn't even know were things. I think one of the things is just knowing, let's pretend you can't see the cards in your opponent's hands. If you are really good at pattern recognition, you could basically deduce what is in their hand without them telling you what's in their hand, just by based off what they're playing. Because let's say if you knew every single card in the game and you had the Effie ability to put yourself in their shoes, Effie connects Huang Wei Sikao to basically be in their shoes, you could basically imagine they play one card, it tells you information about their hand. They play another card, they're telling you more information about their hand. If you use FE and NI, you could put yourself in their shoes, and you could actually create different scenarios where what is the most likely hand he has. Maybe he has hand A, maybe he has hand B, maybe he has hand C. And it would actually, NI pattern recognition would actually break his hand or opponent's hand into different possible hands, and I could actually play against these different possible hands. So for example, if you know, if you don't know anything about the game, you just think the cards can be anything. But if you know a lot about the game, that's why TI is so valued by the INFJ. As TI is heavily valued because the more you understand the game, the easier it becomes to actually recognize the patterns in the game. In fighting, if you know a lot about fighting, then yeah, sure, you can think, well, your opponent can throw any kind of weapon. But if you've actually really looked at you did TI and you went deep, you really took the time to understand a person. No, you would actually be able to let's look at every single fight Ilya has had. and let's look at every single attack he's ever had. Let's look at all the attacks that had success. Let's look at all the attacks that had failures. And look, we could actually graph out every single thing about this person, use TI to dissect the person and write down every single thing we know about this person. And then we know, okay, how do we defend? What are we going to do, countermeasure and plan about that? NI future orientation is not, especially for INFJ with, wow, the cat just flushed the toilet. The cat learned how to flush the toilet. 慢慢学会了就太搞笑了，拍视频啊。So the thing is, like, I also use the same analysis on Cyril Gahn. So I basically was able, in very short period of time, guess what was the right winning, who are the winners in the main event. So that's something about NI, is it's willing to take guesses. Based off of incomplete information, we can guess what is in their hand. But it's not like, oh, we have incomplete information, let's make guesses and let's just judge people. It's like typology. It's like the process of elimination. So I use TI to know, well, there are 16 types of people in this theory. So it's like, for me, MBTI and socionics, basically typology, is very useful because, look, even though the 16 types are theoretical, these 16 archetypes, they represent 16 different types of people. Let's pretend there's 50 different types of personalities. So 16 types doesn't mean there aren't 50. It just means that in the system, there are 16 types of personality. No matter which personality you are in this world, your personality will match one description more similar than the others. Usually it'll match at least 2 more similar than the others, which means you're not 14. It means that 14 personalities are not that similar to you and 2 personalities are similar to you. A lot of people are like, well, that's not objective enough. That's not accurate enough. Well, I tested this and then I tested this. Look, if you tested MBTI 100 times, you would never test 16 personalities. So you'd actually just look at the graph. If you had x-axis, y-axis, and you plotted 16 different personalities, and if we actually just straight up, you took 100 tests, you would probably test as 5 or 6 different personalities. But does that mean it's fake? No. You could actually put one point on the graph of each of the personalities you tested. You could put a number saying how many times of the 100 times you tested that. And then you could actually connect all those dots with a line and you would actually have a shape, a closed area. So within the 16 personalities, your personality would be arranged between 5 different types with a weighted percentage of how much you are one given personality or most similar to a given personality. Now, does that mean these things are inaccurate? It's no. Strategic asset is thinking, this doesn't need to be 100% accurate. How can we use this thing to improve our guessing, improve our decision making? So that's the same thing with the NI that makes people disturbed. Is NI basically is like, I'm willing to guess about the future. I'm going to make guesses about the future, but I'm going to equip it with a TI. And for the INTJ, they are making guesses on the future with the TE to give them objective data. But TI is more about deep understanding, having deep understanding and deep subject matter expertise. So basically, that's actually how coaches work. Coaches don't have all the data, but they are using deep subject matter expertise. They're using FE to care about their fighter, but they're using FE to also put themselves in the opponent fighter's shoes. So if you can put yourself in the opponent's fighter's shoes, if you can understand how they think, how they feel, you can definitely make predictions about how they're going to perform and what they're going to do. And if you just look at how Justin Gaethje, his left hand collar tie, right arm knee pick, like that move that he did was genius. First of all, I've watched martial arts for a long time. I've never seen anyone do that move before. It's the weirdest, most Justin Gaethje thing I've ever seen. So his coach and him figured out a move that created 3 attack angles. That's the beauty is, well, if you're trying to predict your opponent and you know about what he is doing and what he can do and what he potentially will do, you can start designing very specific strategic plans on how to counter and attack them. The same thing is with the MBTI. It's like, look, it doesn't need to be 100% accurate. Is this strategic asset useful enough to generate information that can help me make predictions about people? NIFE means I want to make predictions. FE is about people. So yes, I can tell you 100%. If you have deep understanding in MBTI and socionics, it doesn't need to be 100% accurate. You don't even need a tool to be 100%. Like, does a rifle need to be 100% accurate to get a headshot? You don't need something to have 100% accuracy to get the win. That's like, do the soccer, like Lionel Messi, does Holland, do they make their 100% of the shots? No. You don't need to be able to make 100% of your shots to actually make shots in. And if you can make shots in, that's all that matters. So that's what makes a strategic asset different than a scientific, something being very scientific. It's very scientific. If it's super scientific, you would basically want it to be as close to 100% accurate, 100% you want your description of reality to be 100% accurate. But how can you get something to 100%? That's extremely impossible in some cases. Like that's not how it's gonna, you can't wait for 100% to start winning. Otherwise, if you're like, I need 100% understanding, you're gonna limit yourself and limit the possibilities of how you're future thinking oriented. That's also okay. The black box. So if there's a black box, how can you, what's this? This is just a
water.
我在安排视频啊。
I'm recording.
No. It's like this. Look, if you're trying to predict what's in a black box and you don't know what's in it, what you would do is a strategic thinker you'd use the process of elimination. So if the black box had a size limitation, like let's say the black box is the size of a luggage suitcase. Well, you could guess the luggage suitcase will not have an elephant in it because an elephant is too big to fit in the luggage suitcase, right? The future, when you're trying to predict the future, you're trying to predict a black box because the future is unknown, but there are knowns about the present that will still be constant from now to the future. Like the future, while it is unknown, it is not completely unknown. The present, like, okay, 2 years from now, will there still be a planet called Earth? Well, based off our current projections, we can guess yes. Is it 100% certain? No, because aliens could blow up the planet tomorrow. But the thing is, an NI thinker like myself would basically say, okay, well, let's look at two possibilities. Will there be an Earth 2 days from now? Well, there's the possibility the planet, things remain constant, and the planet will retain. And there's the possibility that something bad is going to happen, like aliens might blow up the planet. And so instead of saying one is more likely than the other automatically, we would basically say, okay, path A is possible, path B is possible. But we know that the future has to be one of those. Either the planet will remain constantly there as we know it, or something traumatic is going to happen, right? And then we know that if something traumatic is going to happen, it's not something that it's going to be a special event. It's not something that is it's not a pattern that is to our knowledge is something that is going to happen repeatedly without. It's not something that is like always happening. It's like there are events there are patterns that happen all the time, and there are patterns that happen or situations that happen that are very special and very unique. So there's common patterns and then there's unique patterns. You're saying that the common pattern is more likely to happen, right? But it doesn't mean the unique pattern is not going to happen. But when you do the future orientation, and this is why people don't really like intuitive end uses, is when you're talking about the future, you need to expand into different possibilities because there's unknowns. And then you have to talk about uncertainty. And the way you talk about uncertainty is you need to branch out different possible futures.
我已经拍了。
Okay, pizza came. Bye-bye.